Fireside Jam is
Oh.
manage.
Oh,
As always,
dear.
you can interpret that any way you want. You can go for the literal and create a management game, or see if you manage to come up with a way to take it in a different direction. Oh, and the spooky themes and things, that's not meant to be the jam, it just kind of happened. Bye.
Oh, that's it, huh? Okay. Okay, so obviously the first thing you think of is, some kind of management game. Not. Is that my kind of game? I'm not sure if that's my kind of game or not. I do have a funny idea that just popped into my head, but I don't know how I would do that. I recorded a whole clip, realizing I did not click record, so yay! Go me! Anyway, this is the next day. I did not get anything done. I was too tired. I cleaned the house and I had to make dinner and stuff, and by the time I got all that done, I didn't want to do anything, so rip. Anyway, I did get a concept sketch done this morning, so we have this, and this is going to be a Karen management sim, but it's in space. Yay! So the basic premise is there's going to be an employee happiness meter and a customer satisfaction meter, which means you can't appease Karens too much because the employees are going to really hate you as the manager, feeling like, frick you, I guess. I guess they get away with everything, the Karens. But also, you don't want the Karens to be happy and your employees mad, but you don't want your employees thrilled that you're just throwing everyone out when some people have valid complaint. So not everything the Karens come up with will be invalid. Some of them will be like, I bought this yesterday and it's broken. Can I exchange it? Or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, that's fair. You bought it and you opened it and it was broke. I mean, yeah, you can exchange it. That's not really being a Karen. That's just, commerce. So, I wanted to have some valid ones in between the outrageous ones, like I got a coupon from another store. How come you can't take it here when you have the same product? And it's like, ma'am, I don't even have that barcode. I've seen enough Karen videos. I could come up with some fun ones. So yeah, it's gonna go in between the two, and I want it to be where you have to keep the thing balanced. Where it makes your employees not miserable, but also your customer satisfaction is good, so your store doesn't go down. I thought about having a store rank. I'm not sure if I'll get that far. I don't have a lot of time. I only have 10 days, which for a game jam is a while, but for me, that's not much time. So, yeah. I'm thinking I'll do this game in pixel art. I might change my mind, but pixel art would be a nice way to get a lot of designs done quick. So I don't have to worry about the art taking too long, especially character designs, because I'm gonna have fun with those, but I need to be able to color them all, so we'll see. I want to do some stuff with some scrolling text and stuff. I don't know what the UI will look like. This is just how I have it for now. I might have it where their complaint is down here, and you can pick your options here, and the bars are on this side. I really don't know any of that yet. I just need to get stuff working. So now I'm going to write out how I can think of a way for this stuff to balance out so I can know what I'm trying to do. Because I know what I want, but I don't know how I'm going to do it because I've never done anything like this before. So, yeah, let's just get to that, huh? Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. In this video, I did another game jam. It was a Fireside game jam, and the theme was manage. The first thing that came into my mind was, I want to speak to your manager. And I thought, what if you're an entitled customer? I've noticed there actually has been a bit of an upswing in like Karen and air quote games. Like there's one coming out at some point, or maybe it's already out, I don't know, where you're literally a Karen, you just destroy them all. So I thought that could be fun, making a Karen game. But then I thought, what if you are the manager? I thought this could be an amusing idea. I also have been wanting to do something sci-fi related to make as a change of pace. So I figured, this is Karen's in space. After I came up with this idea, I remembered Manny Menno made a video about being a barista in space in a different game jam. So I was sure to try and make sure mine didn't look like I'm copying her. I don't even remember the video existed until I came up with my own idea. But I really didn't want it to look like I copied it. I've since looked at the video and like my game looks completely different. So at least I know no one will accuse me of copying something I forgot existed until after I came up with the idea. So for this devlog, I want to talk about the new things I tried in this game jam. Because you kind of know my process, and this one I didn't really embrace the normal process. I mean, I used Milano a little bit, and I did a little bit of concepting. But overall, this was a lot of in the weeds. So let's just get started. For this game, there was going to be a ton of dialogue. I think over 50 pieces of text were written, which I'll talk a little bit about later. And to get it all to work, I had to make a way for them to play at the right time, since the main point of the game is the text. It's what makes the game loop interesting. The goal of the game is to keep the customer satisfaction bar and the employee satisfaction bar from going to 0. And then it's game over. It doesn't matter which one goes to 0. You just have to make sure neither one gets to 0. I was going to make a win state. There was a ranking system I wanted to add. Once you get to a certain rank of the store, you win. But I ran out of time. The loop is pretty straightforward, though. You have a customer come up with a complaint. You click buttons in response. Depending what that response is, and if the complaint is labeled valid or not in like the code, you get different responses from them in return. And it moves the bar back and forth. If they're really mad, that you lose a lot more customer satisfaction. If they're really happy, you gain more. But also, if they have a really stupid request and you just give it to them, your employees get mad because nobody likes a manager without a backbone. So it's a balancing act. Now, I had some people have it be very easy for them, and some people it was more difficult, and I'll get into that later. That's the basic loop. And instead of making a script, like showing you each thing I did, I'm just going to give you a quick overview in an actual like clip. So we're going to go watch that now. Okay, so I'm going to try and explain this. This is like my third attempt because I'm so bad at explaining things. But, so I would like to preface that I did not follow tutorials for stuff with dialogue. If I would have used yarn or something else visual novel related, I could have organized the text easier and it probably would have been faster and I could have did more with gameplay, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted it to be my code, not copying somebody else's. So keep that in mind. And yeah, so let's just give you an idea of what we're doing. So here's your game. This is one bar and another bar. You don't want either one to go to 0. This is where the text will go. This is your options. This is one of your options as well. And when you selected all the options you can, you click this. So this one is labeled invalid. So we're going to pick what we want to do. We can ignore them, appease them, compromise, or we could just straight up kick them out. I'm going to try ignore. Okay, they're mad. They're leaving. So security. Fine, go. This is another invalid one. But this time we're going to try and compromise. okay, they want to compromise. There is a possibility that they don't, and then you just kick them out. So, we'll give them a credit. They don't want to have the credit, so we kick them out. And you just repeat this over and over again, and different responses get you different things. So, one of the main things is the characters themselves, and they spawn here, they tween to here, and then when you click next, a new one spawns here, and as it's going this way, this one goes here, and when it collides with this, it deletes. So you don't have a bunch of sprites piling on top of each other. And here we have some like random things, like for the CRTV, if stuff will switch back and forth. This is the losing. It has like a bunch of stuff. Like this is a shake, and this is if it's one of the things end up 0. But the main thing we care about is length events. So we can start with the customer and text cycling, which is this one. The start button, once you click on it, and all this other stuff. But this is what we care about down here. It's like the cycling through. So we have a status for the customer. When the status equals served, then they will spawn the new one, and then they'll like move and all this other stuff. And then we have text box. And this here kind of controls everything, because no matter what I did, stuff didn't work, and I needed it to work. It's a 10-day jam. So if the customer is in collision with the stop image, so it's in collision with this, so it has to be here so that way it's actively in use. It will randomize which complaint they have, and then it will activate the auto typing, and then it will also activate the choose buttons. I have that turned off so you can't accidentally click on any options while stuff's moving, because it's just hidden. It's not, you know, they're not deleted, they're just hidden. And then when stuff isn't there, all of this stuff is reset to -1 because everything is like 0, 1, or more depending what it is. So this makes it all -1, so that way it will reset and change the number and not get stuck on a number. I had that problem a lot. And over here, this is also to reset all of the text for the different responses they could have to -1, because if I didn't do that, it got stuck. And over here, if the complaint variant is equal or less than 14, that complaint validity is invalid, and if it's equal or more than 15, it's valid. Now for valid, there's also some gray area, but I didn't want to do a third one because it was already breaking with 2. So some of them might trip you up if it's a valid or an invalid request, because some people might find it annoying, and some people might be like, well, you know what, that's fair. So if it equals either of those things, that will then tie into this. Let it load. So valid and invalid are exactly the same, except for the responses you get and the numbers for the employee and customer satisfaction. So if their complaint is valid, click on the phone. The phone is calling security. So if they've already had a valid complaint and you call security on them, that's going to be a very low customer satisfaction, and it's going to minus it 10 points. And their status will be evicted, and then this gets reset to -1 because stuff broke when I didn't do that. If you open this up, it like changes the next button animation, and then it triggers a dialogue response. And that's how all of these work, is that same idea. But when we get to stuff like compromise, it will change the status, and then once it's changed its status, it will do a random in range of the compromise, whether they want to or not. So if it's 0 and they want to compromise, we'll get a randomized text, and that's what this is for. This here. And you get a little bit of customer and employee satisfaction because at least they're being somewhat reasonable, right? But it will also hide the main buttons, and then it will also deactivate them because the main buttons and the compromise buttons are both on the clipboard, and if you click on one, you will click on both. So you have to disable whichever buttons you're not using so they don't click. And then it shows the compromise buttons. And if they don't want this, they just get mad and you just kick them out and you move on. But if you do get compromised, then we go over here. Is it this one? That's this one. Yeah. Yeah, this here was so that way the phone, you can't click on the phone by accident. But over here, if the complaint is invalid, but they want to compromise, and you click on the coupon button, it randomizes this number, and which is also compromised. And if it's 2, they'll want the coupon, and if they don't want the coupon, it's 3, and then credit card 4 or 5, you get a positive and negative, and that's just, it just repeats for the different positives and negatives. When it comes to other dialogue, so let's say they want to compromise and they are valid. Let's go here. And compromise. Yes, they do want to compromise. That number will be randomized, and if it's 0, it will be like a compromise would be okay. And this one, I suppose, is a compromise. I guess a compromise is better than nothing. I guess a compromise could work. Just so that way it feels a little more alive and you're not getting the same, like, okay, sure, like, for everyone. Just to, like, make it feel a little more variety. And that's what all of these are. Just depending on, like, what the state is. I had to, like, name each one and keep them, like, in little folders so I didn't get confused. So if you evict them and they're having an invalid request, which means they're being annoying. They'll be like, you can't throw me out. I know the owner. What a horrible establishment. I'm going to write a negative review on the Pluto pages. How dare you call security on me? I'm a paying customer. I love that one because a lot of these are them not wanting to pay. So it kind of like invalidates their complaint. And then I'm calling the police for harassment. I've seen a lot of Karen videos. All of these are things that I have seen that people do. And the same is over here with the requests. Each one is like a different request, each number. And I just did that all the way down with the request. And it's valid and invalid has the same thing going on. So that's my badly explained how this works. I could have explained it better. I'm not good at explaining things. Yeah, so that's my horrible explanation of how my game works. As mentioned, this game has a ton of dialogue, and I've never really written dialogue in any meaningful way before. So I wrote it all in a Google Doc and asked a friend for a grammar check, which they did, and I'm very appreciative. They are credited in the game. I was very intentional on the stuff that I wrote. It had to at least make me smile for how preposterous it was, but it also had to be irritating. I did this because I wanted there to be an emotional response to saying yes or no to a customer. It was part of the balance of the game. If the customers make you mad, you'll want to mass throw them out. But I made it where it actually costs more to throw them out, and the possibility of it being less of a cost if you don't throw them out and either ignore or compromise with them. Because if you ignore them, they might just leave. And if you compromise with them, they might gain a little bit of happiness if they want the compromise. The reactions to this have been quite interesting. My boyfriend who beta tested it for me lost because they all made him mad. He just kept kicking them out. My friend who did the grammar check also kept losing, which is funny because they've read all the dialogue. And it still made them mad. They kept losing because they just wouldn't let the customers have what they wanted out of principle because they were just all so annoying. Then I have another friend who lost because they were way too nice to the customers and the employees were mad. I just find that very funny. In the actual rating process, I had a few people say it was too easy to lose. I'm not great at game balance, so that didn't really shock me. But I did have a lot of comments saying they enjoyed the dialogue, so it's still a win for me. Another part of my intentionality, I don't know if that's a word, but we're going with it, was I had some dialogue reference other dialogues. For instance, there was a customer that's playing victim saying another customer is being mean, not letting them have stuff in their cart. But another customer says someone won't leave them alone and is demanding their stuff. I did a few like that, and since it's all random, I thought it'd be a nice little touch to maybe feel like the store is more active if things are referencing each other. I also did some joke ones. I did one joking about crypto, but instead of crypto, it's called Pluto. I did a few with space talk influencers. I had one where the customer's prejudiced against Martians and one where they're being harassed for being Martian. But I didn't want people to misunderstand that I'm mocking the prejudiced person and not laughing at prejudice itself. So I cut it. I knew what I meant, but it's the internet. I didn't want to get disqualified for something I could just cut. It would have been great for a fast reaction because no normal person likes that kind of thing. You would have immediately tried to throw them out. And since everything's random, you could have got a couple of them in a row and it could have really mass throw them out and really messed up your balance. But I figured it's better to be safe than sorry, so I cut it. I also wanted this to feel like its own world, so instead of calling them Karens, I call them Krakens. To add to this dialogue of something new I've done, I also added an intro sort of cutscene. It's mostly just text with some tweening of some images. It's not really that amazing, but it is my first cutscene. And I referenced that they're called Krakens, and then you're supposed to be from Earth, so they say Karens, so you know what a Kraken is. I've had multiple people say that they actually like the cult Krakens, and they find it fun. So I'm glad that that translated well, because I figured a Kraken, when I think of one, has a lot of tentacles and stuff. It's very otherworldly, so I thought Kraken will work really well. So I'm very happy that that panned out how I hoped. When it comes to music, I've made a little bit before using Chrome Music Lab, but I recently got a program called 1-Bit Dragon. It's not overly complex, but it's a good start, and I did some messing around with the presets, and when I got more comfortable, I did a mix of my own thing with some presets. I did edit the presets with some other things as well. After that, I layered it up in Audacity to add some effects. Is it great? No. But is it passable? Yes. When it comes to sound design, I made all the sounds myself. And I did a little bit of voice acting as well. And I did a little more than just woo! Like I did in the potion game. I actually used my actual voice. Yay! So for the phone, I use this little monkey symbol thing that I have. I don't really know why I have it, I'm going to be honest with you. And I edit it to sound like ringing on a phone. I also use that same toy to make sounds for the bell and sounds to show you can't click on the phone or the bell when it's grayed out. I got a lot of mileage out of that little thing. I tried to make some sounds with crumpled paper or tissue, but my mic just wasn't having it. I wanted it for the clipboard, so instead of it being a generic sound, it would sound like you're rustling papers. But my microphone has been fighting me recently, really bad, and I don't know how to fix it. I've looked at the manual and everything. I don't know how to fix it. So instead, I just went with a popping sound with my mouth, like I did for the fairy dress-up game. The text sound in the intro is one version of me going meep, and the text sound for the monitor is another version of me going meep. So it's me making the meep meep sounds. I have it randomizing the tone, so that way it's not the exact same tone, and it's not annoying and grating. I also did some voice acting, like I said, to sound like someone calling us a security guard. And I added some noise reduction and low pass to make it sound kind of like a walkie-talkie, which was fun. I have a few versions of that to randomize so it doesn't get overly repetitive. I also played around with the in-engine sound effects generating thing. It's not an AI generator. It's some kind of sound making tool. I don't really know how it works, But I don't even remember if I actually used anything from that. I don't think I did. I think I ended up only using sound effects I made by hand. The art in this game, honestly, was so fun. The main thing we're going to talk about is character design, but I also want to talk about the little CRTV real quick. So if you look at the game, there's a little monitor, and it has like CRT effects to it. That was a pain. That was an absolute pain to make. But it was very worth it. I love how it looks. I think I have clips of me talking about how I made it. If there is, I will put them in now. So it turns out I don't have anything explaining how the CRT works. I just had like clips of me just making it. So let's start with the monitor itself. This is just a 3-framed animation, just so it looks a little more alive, having like little waves going on over here. And then we have the screen, which has 2 different animations. It's got like the no signal type animation, which is just a quick little colorful drawing. And then it has like this dark blue for when the text is on screen. And this object has an effect called CRT attached to it. Surprising. I don't really remember why I chose any of this or if I even switched any of this. I think I did. But the main thing you need to know is that when you add an effect to an image, it affects even the transparent space. So let me just pull one of these over here so you can see what I'm saying. Right there. And let it preview. See, if you look closely, over here also has the CRTV noise. So, in order for me to have it where you can't see that part, this here is underneath of here. And also the CRTV itself has a big thick outline on the inside. So if I delete that and I show you the monitor. See how it has this big black band? I did multiple iterations till I had the right size. So we have this here. And then we have this being a separate object. And this is underneath of that. So if I move this over, see it's underneath. So that way when you have the access CRT noise, it won't be on top of the TV itself. It won't touch like any of this. Because it is an odd shape. I didn't want it to be just perfectly square. I wanted it to look a little funky. Because, you know, it's aliens. If it was just square, I wouldn't have had to do all this. But or rectangle. I guess a rectangle is technically a square or something stupid. But because it's this weird shape, I had to like work around the shape. And also the text, I believe, did I do this? I know I did at one point. Did I keep it? Yes, the text also has a CRT effect on it. So if you look at this example here, the CRTV has the noise and everything, and then the text has the noise and everything. And let me just... And you see how it switches back and forth. I thought that was a fun touch. Also, because I realized in my voiceover that's coming up, I forgot to mention, the background was made in GIMP. Everything else was made in Sprite except for the recoloring of the sprites and like cropping and stuff was done in GIMP. But the actual like art itself, the only artwork that was fully made in GIMP was the background. I forgot to mention that in the voiceover. As you can see, that was a pain in the neck and also very much worth it. I'm so happy with the little CRTV and also the little phone. I forget what kind of phone that is, but I'm also very pleased with the phone. But we're going to talk about character design now because that's what most people care about. They don't really care about the little CRTV that I'm just oddly obsessed with. Character design was the funnest part for me. I was so hyped when I got the game working enough to make the characters, and I wanted a lot of them. So I made a plan. I'll make 10 very different designs, and then I'll give those designs an alternative color scheme. So I'll have 20 designs faster than trying to make 20 unique ones. The program I used to draw was Sprite, and the program to recolor was GIMP. To make things faster, I used the symmetry tool to draw the characters, but then I would do something to break that symmetry. For example, I wouldn't have arms doing the same thing, or I would add hair later so it's not perfectly even. Or if there's a pattern on the clothes, I add that freehand. Just something to break it up. I did this on a good portion of them, but I will say I worked on characters for probably 8 hours. And I started to get lazy at the end and stuff started to look a lot more symmetrical. I also played a lot with colors. I didn't want them all to just be little green men. So I used some more bold colors. Some of them are yellow or blue. Unintentionally, I use a lot of purple. But that's okay. It's different. It's not just green. Because that's kind of like the stereotypical alien color is green. When I went for recolors, I mainly did color sliders in GIMP, but a few didn't look good that way. So since it's pixel art, I just used the paint bucket to adjust things and change colors around. I also took different inspirations, like one you can tell is inspired by a frog, another one is inspired by a traditional alien, but I also changed it a bit so it's not just a traditional alien with like the semi-teardrop shaped head and the giant round eyes. I went for something like that, but different, and I gave them tentacles. You know, I changed it up, but it was inspired by it. I also have one that was inspired by a viewer who took one of my characters and made her look like an alien while watching the live streams of me working on this. And I thought the design was kind of fun, so I took inspiration from it, but I didn't directly copy it. The head shape is very similar, and there's one big eye, but I didn't like fully copy it because I added spines and I added like I don't know what it's called, but like ribbing type deal. I also like added dragon inspiration to it, so whatever the bat wing looking stuff is, but I put it on their neck. I changed it a lot, but the base was inspired by a viewer's little fan art of one of my characters. One of my all-time favorites from all of these is actually the Karen Incarnate one. I made her look really judgmental. I tried to have her looking down on you, her arms crossed. I even gave her the blonde hair with the brown roots, but she has like a more monster-looking face than a human face. And she has claws. I really, really love that one. I went all out with that. I'm very proud of that one. I also redrew my placeholders because I actually really liked them. I just needed them to look nice. So I just like got them and I scaled it up. And then I just traced over it with the symmetry tool and then, you know, changed up the stuff that wouldn't be symmetrical. And yeah, I actually am really happy with the characters in this. They're so fun. If you play it, please just see how many you can find. I do have an image in like the screenshot section if you want to see all of them, but I'm really proud of them. Please just enjoy them with me. Alrighty, so we're gonna check it out and just show you the end result real quick. So we have the background, which I really like this, just some stars. We have the logo, screenshots, how to play here, and then that's how to play in the game. And hopefully you can hear the music. It's very hard. For some reason, sound on my computer just decided to really fight me. So I don't know if it's me, if it's OBS, but hopefully you can hear the music. Here's credits, and then we have how to play, and then we play. So this is my first ever cutscene. It's not much, but it's something. I really like the music in the cutscene. It's a shame the cutscene's so short. And then here's the actual game. start. And then you just pick out what it is you want. So we'll do compromise. They don't want to compromise. You can appease or throw them out. I'm gonna throw them out. Attention, security. And this one is a valid one, so you could just appease them, or you could compromise. You can literally, even if it's the most valid request or complaint, you can still like be a jerk and kick them out. We have a code cracking. And that's just the whole game. Like I said, I wanted to have a win state, but I don't, so it's just endless. A couple people challenged themselves to get 100 on both sides, and succeeded. So you can do that if you want to give yourself a personal win state, but that is the game. It's just you have these, and you get different responses per thing. I don't want to show all of them, so yeah, that's the game. Alrighty, so the results are out. I have not seen them. Let's see. How do I, like, see the page? There we go. Alright, I'm looking up right now. I do not know what it is. Let's scroll down. Let's look. Ooh, I got 7! Oh! I ranked number 2 in theme, number 6 in art, number 7 overall, 9 in music, 18 in fun and engagement. I got above 20 in everything. I got in top 10 for everything but in fun and engagement, which that's fair because it can be a little repetitive after a while and there's no win state, so that kind of makes sense. Okay. So I got 0 1-stars. I got a little bit of 2-star, a little bit of 3-star, mostly 4-star, which, I mean, I'll take it. 5-star. This is, okay, I'm very, like, I'm very happy with that. That's great. And this is the best I've ever done in a game jam, actually. I mean, granted, it's a small one, but, like, still, yay! Thank you for all the nice comments and stuff that people said. Thank you for all the nice ratings. I think this is also the most ratings I ever got. Yeah, 20. I don't think I've ever gotten 20 ratings before. I could be wrong, but I don't think I have. So this is exciting. Yay! I'm so happy. So that is the end of the video. We see I did well. I'm happy with that. This is the best I've ever done. So that's encouraging, honestly, because I have a lot of imposter syndrome. But yeah, that is the end of the video. Thank you everyone for watching. If you watched this super long video to the end, I appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you all later. Have a good rest of your day. Bye!